Yo, what's good? Thank you guys for joining in and tapping into the Ironic Podcast. I'm your host, Josh Cobb. Thank you for just really leaning in and joining me as we move forward in this journey. So we can get right into it. I guess what a lot of people have been asking me, the first question that comes to mind is, what is ironic? Like, what does that even mean? And it's just a word that simply means aimed at peace, and that's what we're here to do. So it's a podcast anchored in Black masculinity, and just exploring what it means to be a Black man in this society. It's been a project. It's been something that's been on my mind for years. I've been wanting to create this space and really lean into it. And after years of thinking about it, writing on it, I've decided to really get after it and do what needs to be done. So I thank you guys for tuning in, because this is a space where we're going to explore again what it means to be a Black man, and just unpack and encourage and learn through each other's experiences. So often that narrative behind what it means to be a Black man, is that we're abusive, we're menaces, we're thugs, we're anything but emotional human beings. This is a project essentially to change that stigma. I've been a part of conversations, I've felt on numerous occasions that we don't have a space, we don't have an opportunity to display our emotions, to really sit back, unwind, and be our authentic selves, be our true selves. So this is a podcast, and this is a space where I'm going to encourage it, and where we can do that. And through that, I plan that we're going to do that through our stories, through our pain, but also through our laughter, through helpful and informed dialogue. And I think it's something that not only Black men of all ages will be able to digest and really internalize, but even our sisters and anybody who cares to want to learn and be educated on what it means to be a Black man. So today, for our pilot episode, for our very first episode of Ironic, we bring in two of my OGs, two people that have seen me grow from a teen into the man I am today. It's a really insightful conversation, a conversation where, to be honest, I didn't do a lot of speaking. I didn't do a lot of talking. I didn't have to. When your elders, when your OGs speak, you do a lot of listening. You do a lot of absorbing. And that's really what I did today. Obviously, with the podcast anchored and focused on masculinity, we attempt to define it. We define it for ourselves, and we also, we get some knowledge. We get some gems on what it means to be a committed Black man in marriage and fatherhood. And it's really good. There's a lot of good tidbits, a lot of good nuggets in this conversation. And I'm just excited to share this again with you guys. I would also be remiss if I didn't send a shout out to the St. Paul Neighborhood Network, and of course, Bianca Rhodes, BLovely Productions. Bianca's done a remarkable job of just lifting while she climbs the ranks in her own personal career. Just spending time and taking me under her wing, giving me time to grow, and allowing me that grace, and just opening up her space to allow me to share this vision and this journey with you guys. So shout out goes to her, the St. Paul Neighborhood family, and then also Valerie Ferguson shooting and capturing the shoot, and the logo that you guys see before you guys. It was great. Me and him have had the opportunity to make a lot of magic happen when it comes to our shoots, and yeah, I am willing to bet my seat at the family space table that you guys are going to enjoy this. You guys are going to really sit back and have a good time absorbing it. So whatever you're doing, whether you're driving, working out, just make sure that of course, that you're listening, you're present, but you have an open mind and you're receptive to learning and to growing. And that's ultimately what we're doing here. So Again, sit back, relax. Thank you guys. We got two special guests, two VIP guests with us today. We're gonna get right to it. Go ahead, my man.
My name is Darrail Hughes.
Yeah.
I work as a behavior intervention specialist for the North St. Paul district. As far as what I do, I've been doing this position for 3 years now.
Yeah.
And working with kids for at least a decade. So that is who I am, and I definitely more than a pleasure to be here with you, Mr. Cobb. We go way back. We go way back.
We do.
So
we'll get into it.
Pleasure to be here.
Yes, sir.
My name is Justin Akins, communicator, disruptor, black man in America. I think we all can relate to that. Cobb, it's been a minute, man. It's good to see you talking about we VIP, man. I feel special, man.
VIP guest, man.
Feel special, man.
Yeah.
Just somebody just trying to walk every day, man. Every day upright and be better than I was the day before. So I'm excited to be here with y'all, man. There's billions of people in this world, and you thought of us. So I'm definitely honored to be here and really support you in your dream as well, man.
Appreciate that. Well, to start off each of these episodes, just to kind of get things going, the first thing I want to do is kind of dismantle, that dichotomy of black men. Like, obviously, when we're coming up, we're told, you can only express anger or joy, and kind of just saying, all right, this is the last time I felt this emotion. So today, I want us to describe the last time we felt at peace with yourselves, with an event. Whoever wants to start off, just let me know when the last time you felt at peace in your life.
I would say the last time, and when you even say peace, I have to define what that is to me.
For sure.
Everyone has their own way of feeling at peace, right? So what does that feel like for me? I'll give you two instances for me, and that is even yesterday, as I was pulling into church, I was like, yo, this feels finally like like a show to me. This feels like I'm going to worship. And for me, without having to worry about how I'm coming in and what I'm looking like, for the first time in a long time, I felt no other energy other than just peace, right? I felt good. I felt calm. And even sitting here, as I'm sitting here talking with you two brothers, it feels good. And how I define peace is very much when you feel just at ease, where you're only focused on the right now. A lot of times there's more than one emotion that comes out throughout the day, even if I'm focused on one thing. I can't normally just sit in the moment because when I try, other things are at bay. So for me, yesterday, pulling into church, and even right now, knowing that whatever we talk about, I feel good. I feel calm. I feel at ease, and I feel plugged in.
For sure.
Mm-hmm.
I got you. That's good. I think I would piggyback off of that too. And one thing I'm picking up from what you were saying is just being present in that moment, not being preoccupied with the next task, the next day, the next month, the next year, just being present and being in that moment. So for me, probably be this morning, man. My wife and I were able to get away on the weekends and taking some time to retreat with ourselves and just waking up and not having anything planned, not having to run to a meeting or get on a Zoom or talk to anybody or check in anybody, but just to unplug and just enjoy each other and enjoy that alone time too. So I'm picking up what you're putting down. That piece is, I wouldn't say it's rare. I don't want to say it I have a lot of experiences and privileges that I enjoy on a daily basis, and I'm cognizant of that. But I also know that it does feel like sometimes the day, it's almost like being on a treadmill where it's just constantly going and you don't really get a break until you get ready to lay down at bed at night. So I would say, just being able to unplug, even if for, a little bit, this little getaway this weekend, I would definitely say at peace. And then here, just trying to formulate, he had sent me a text about briefly what we'd be talking about and just thinking about, okay, what do those things mean to me and that type of thing. So I definitely agree. But it's really about being present, being able to enjoy, wow, I'm able to sit, relax and just be in the moment.
I'm going to piggyback off of that too. Even with this morning, for me, to even add on that peace definition. Like for me, I think of it as, like for me, I'm in my early 20s. And you know, your society's always telling us like, hey, you got to get this together. You gotta have a LLC. You gotta have your home. You gotta have, you know, all this.
Right.
You're supposed to be having all this together. And peace for me is just like being like calm and at still with like your place in life. So every morning I wake up, I do the same thing. I wake up, I turn my speaker on, I got a morning playlist I play.
Okay.
And that brings me peace literally every morning.
Okay.
And yeah, certain songs speak to me at different points in my life.
Yeah.
I'm pretty sure everybody can relate to that. But yeah,
Yeah.
So like, I make sure I react to it however I want to react to it. So if I want to dance,
Right.
I'll dance with it.
That's
If I want
funny,
to,
yeah.
if I want to cook my breakfast with it, I can cook my breakfast with it. And even if it's just one song, like sometimes, like you know, you in a rush, you trying to get to work or whatever. But
Yeah. Oh yeah.
that's what, yeah.
Oh yeah.
So what you listening to, man?
So
That's what I want to know.
So this morning, I'm trying to think of the song I listened to this morning. So, I ain't gonna lie to you, James Brown were really hitting
All right.
Okay.
in the morning. So this morning it was Payback.
Okay.
Payback hit for me. I don't know why.
Hey.
I don't know why.
You're an old soul, man.
Well, it
I
is a
respect
man.
that.
It is a man's world.
Yeah.
But it wouldn't be nothing. We have to add that in,
Yeah.
right? It's classy.
Yeah.
Without.
But other than
Yeah.
that, like any R&B really, like Stevie be hitting in
Yeah.
the morning sometimes. Obviously gospel. I listen to gospel in the mornings. But yeah, whatever's speaking to me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So it sounds like routine kind of gives you that sense of peace too.
Yeah, and it gives you like routine also I find purpose in routine as well. So like just knowing that like when I wake up in the morning, I got something to look forward to. I got a system.
Yeah.
Cause like I know for me, once I stop, once I get out of it, once I deviate, then I'll start like thinking like, dang, what am I doing? Am I living a fulfilled life? I'm sleeping to 10.
Right.
I'm being lazy, and it's like you looking
Right.
at yourself like, dang, bro, what are you doing? Like, so it kind of helps me out, and
Okay.
yeah,
And it's good to hear that because it changes once your life changes.
Yeah.
There's moments in your life that are added on. So even you being 25, you know, I'm 30. And you're
24.
I'm sorry, 24. I got 7 on you. Okay, I'm 31.
Yo, these
And
my
for me-
OGs, by the way.
Okay,
These
like
my OGs.
so you got I'm just listening like, yo, yeah. Okay, so it's good to hear that because I know we try to talk about, you know, former mentor review about organization,
Right.
you know, and believe it or not, there was so much pressure more back on you then because of as a high school student, you're doing like you have to be up or you have no choice. You can stay to 10, but you know every day you have to wake up at this time in order to get your day started. But now being 24, you know, it's good to hear you go back and kind of like analyze your routine from that point because I'm thinking about it like, I got kids, dog.
Right.
Like, okay,
10 o'clock's
you know, we
not happening.
married, dog. You know what I mean? Hey, you know, it's like we're trying to get that. Hey, we have no choice. Where it's like we're putting the kids down. It's like, but now we got to wake up and have. Oh, well, hey, nice to see you, babe. I know it's 10 o'clock. Nice to see you. How's your day? So for you to admit this in your way, like right now, that is your life, and right now it's like that's my priority as far as like my peace within that, right?
Yeah.
But it'll
Right.
change. It'll change
Oh, for sure.
as life.
My bad. I gotta read
Yeah.
the room. I got 2 married men over here.
Yeah.
Yeah,
A father,
yeah.
which is congrats.
Yeah.
I haven't seen you since
Thank you,
the
man.
kids, man.
Yeah.
How is that? Because I know that's my next kind of thing on the horizon. I'm looking forward to is being a father and the whole now. How does that?
Well, how honest can I be on here?
You can be real honest.
All right, you know.
The real question is, do you think your wife will watch it?
Oh, she will. Okay, yeah.
Oh,
she
there's
will.
your answer then.
Hey, man. Why y'all laughing? Let me start.
Go ahead.
Look.
Go ahead.
I say that because, I honestly, for me, I'm a diehard man of faith. I wouldn't be anywhere without Jesus for me. And I know where I'm at right now has a lot to do with where he placed me. So even being a father, when I think about my bucket list at 24, believe it or not, I had a list of things where I'm like, I want this. I want to be a father. I want to be a husband. I want a relationship with God. I want all these things. I want a career. What am I doing? I can't be a TA forever, right? I was doing that for the longest, right? And I'm just thinking like, midlife crisis in my 20s, right? So when I'm like, yo, man, this is life. Okay, this got to change. So now I am. Fast forward. Gosh, that seems so long ago I was thinking like that. Because so much has happened in 7 years. I'm just using your age as a pivot. So for me, look, man, and I know you can speak to this. You're not really ready for marriage. You just got to be ready to be committed. And if you're ready to be committed, you're ready to be married. And that to me was like, And now I'm here. And I'm thinking back to like
quotables.
Man, hey, I always say you gotta be married before you get married. Like you gotta practice commitment before you just dive in. Some people do that Vegas thing, man, and it don't work, brother. It don't It don't work.
Yeah, no, you
brother,
right.
You gotta practice it. You can't just say, you know what, I'm ready today.
That's good.
No, you gotta practice it. But being a father, and I don't know if you have kids, if y'all have kids.
That's not my ministry yet.
Being a father, well, good. All right, I feel both of y'all take a pen and pad.
Yeah, go ahead. I'm listening.
Being a father, it has, yes, you get to look at these little ones and say, yo, that's me. Yo, Lord, yeah, like that's me. And that's us, not just me, but that's baby, we did that. But the other part of it is you start having flashbacks of like, okay, and we'll get in. I won't dive too deep, but it's like you do have that moment of, so who am I going to be for this little one? Who am I?
Good.
Who am I going to be? Who am I going to be? You can imagine it. You can play around with it. You can do all of that. But who am I going to be? And you won't know until you're like grandpa now, right? And you're looking back on that, like, that's who I was. But in the moment, I'm just like, for my little girls, I'm thinking about a lot of things. I said 2 girls, all right? So for me, thinking about that as being a father, look, man, it's beautiful. It was on my list. It has its moments of like hardship of like, being a sole provider, literally right now. And hey, just hearing dad, you know what I mean? And feeling like, having a wife for sure who holds it down and who does so much to help me feel like a father. Man, I couldn't imagine that. All I can know is that my list was answered, and I'm living it day by day, and I definitely feel good in that. And it's not as stressed as people say. Like, yes, there's moments, trust me. But being a father is a beautiful thing, and you won't. When the second weekend of June come around, you love it. You love it. Father's Day is amazing. It really is. It really is. Yeah. Thanks for asking.
No, that's good, man. What I would say for you, Josh, man, because I'm younger than you, Darrail. So, 24, in 2 months will have been 4 years ago, and to think, at 24, knowing that the woman I was with, obviously, Chris, I knew that was going to be my wife. I knew a year into us dating that this was the woman that, God tapped you and like, that's you, player. You like, you sure? You like, that's you, brother. Yeah. So, what I would just tell you, man, is the routine and having structure and having discipline. Those things do matter, but be mindful. Don't beat yourself up if a day you need 10. Your body might be telling you, hey, we need 10 o'clock today because you've been going 5:30, 6:30 call times, and your body is going to tell you like you need to chill. I mean, as far as what you said about commitment, that's a huge thing because I get the question about marriage all the time. We got married young, I guess. But the thing is, like you said, if you're practicing the commitment, if you're practicing, putting yourself in a position where if your actions have to align with what you want. So I can't say that I want to be a husband and not do husband-like things. I can't aspire to say I want to be a professional and not conduct myself accordingly. I can't say that I want to be, a man of integrity, discipline, whatever your faith is. I'm a Christian as well. Whatever your faith is, and then not walk behind it, because eventually the actions and the words, they eventually line up one way or the other. So if you're saying it, you're not walking it. If you have a system of accountability around you, people are going to tell you like, hey man, that's not. These aren't the things that you said that you wanted to set out to be. So that was number one, was having people, around me where I can feel like I'm not the smartest person or the dumbest person in the room, where I'm constantly learning, growing, being, pushed and pulled in my manhood. I know that that's where we're, going to get to. And understanding that even if I'm not necessarily where I want to be, because I try to set daily goals and branch out from there, that as long as I feel like I took a step forward, then that's still a success to me. But if I take a step back, figuring out why, and then trying my best to not repeat it. And that can go from, financially, spiritually, emotionally, to the relationship piece. And like he alluded to at the very end, and that was the most important part, when you have a partner, kids or no kids right now, that's not our ministry.
Yeah.
Folks be asking us when we gonna have kids, and our response is, do you got kids money? And the other thing him saying about not being,
man.
you never will,
man.
And that's what I wanted to get to, is exactly what you said about marriage. You're never ready, man, because even when you think you are, stuff happens. The Bible tells you, the wife finds a good thing, but it goes on to tell you about the struggles that you'll have in marriage and why you have to be on solid foundation because of the other things that will happen outside of it. Yeah. So like you were saying, it's not that it's hard, it's that, whatever whatever your struggles or strengths are, you bring that into it. So if you're bringing dysfunction, communication problems, trust issues, lack of discipline, all these other things, they come into the marriage, and then the 80 other things that go wrong, as compound that, and you're like, oh man, what are we, you know what I mean? So that's really what it is. So I tell people it's great. My mom gave me a really sound piece of advice when Crystal and I first started dating, and I was, talking to her about, that I think this is the woman that God has called me to be with. And she told me, if you have to get out of bed to see your best friend, you're with the wrong person. And that's one of the best pieces of advice I've ever gotten.
Wow.
And, anybody that's seen us interact knows, like, we play all day long. You know what I mean? So we joke, it gets to 10 sometimes, but usually we're a solid 8. But it's cool because I can look forward to spending that time with her. It's not laborious, where I hear, a lot of men, have that experience with their wife where they don't necessarily like their wife. And that's cool, I guess, but when everything else goes wrong, it becomes so much harder. And I compare that to with anything else. If you're not able to, look forward to that time, whether it be that time alone, to, meditate, that time to spend with your significant other, if you have one, that time to develop yourself professionally, if it's laborious to do it, you're probably not doing the right thing. Does that mean everything's gonna be easy? No, because anything worth having is hard.
Yeah.
Sure.
But
Yeah.
I think that's a foundational piece just as much as trust and communication is. If you don't like your partner, I don't know, man. You might be with the wrong one, honestly.
Right.
So I'll piggyback off of that.
And don't, not to cut you off either, don't become roommates. I mean, you're roommates, but don't become roommates.
Yeah.
Then that's
That's a
you just coming and going, saying hi and bye.
Yeah.
Did you write all this down?
Yeah.
I was just gonna say, I was
Did
smiling
you
over here 'cause I'm
write?
over here.
It's recorded. He good. He
You gonna go
good.
back?
Yeah.
I'm just soaking it in now. At this
Yeah,
point.
no,
Look, this
you
is
was
good.
preaching though. You right.
good.
That
Oh,
relationship piece,
likewise,
that is
yeah.
so. Because we've been together 8 years, and it'll be 4 years married next month. And when it's not good, boy.
Yeah, man. Yeah.
And we live in
Cold
Minnesota,
now.
and we live in Minnesota, and it's still colder in the house than it is outside during the winter.
Oh,
so
man.
you have to make sure that you're,
Yeah.
that you're. Again, I don't know what other people's faith are that'll be watching this, but that you're synced, that you're equally yoked. That's what I'm looking for.
Yes,
That
sir.
you're
Equally
because
yoked.
if it goes left, because it will, and that's the other thing. People just think it's gonna go. So you have to have some sort of synergy or alignment where it's like, hey, something is not right here, and we need to figure out what this is and rectify it so that we can continue to walk in lockstep with each other. And that's really what it comes down to. That's a super oversimplification of it. But
Beautiful.
Those are the 3 things, man. That trust and that communication is real, but the friendship part of it, you can't lose the friendship. And whatever you was doing to get that person, you got to continue to do it.
Yeah.
So, the dates, us going on and making that time, well, that could be us sitting on the curb in front of the taco truck for 20 minutes and then going back into work. You know what I mean? You have to make that time. Whatever it is that you were doing to get that person, you got to continue to do it in marriage.
And my wife and I were high school sweethearts,
Oh, man.
and they know that. He knows that. But it's like it felt like we're knowing each other differently, and it should be.
They're
It's not
different.
that
Yeah,
same
that
high
person.
school
Yes,
right?
that's another
Like,
thing. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
It's not
different.
that same person, and we laugh.
Yes.
90% of the day.
Absolutely.
I don't know why I didn't say that it didn't involve my piece, but I will say we
Yeah.
enjoy laughing
Yeah.
a lot. A lot of times
Yeah.
we laugh at the problems we're having.
Yeah.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like you got to.
got
But
to,
we
man. You got to.
yeah.
Especially when you're
Absolutely.
synergized, it's so scary, bro,
Yeah.
because you can literally be somewhere and having a conversation with somebody else and hear what your partner would be saying. Like, I can hear my wife clear as
yes.
day. You hear something, you be
Yes.
like,
Yeah.
man, I'm glad Crystal's not
Oh
there,
my goodness,
right?
yeah. Okay. I've gone home and said that.
Okay,
like,
I'm glad
man,
I'm not
your
crazy.
voice
And then
came
they
in my
say
head.
it, and then they say it like, yeah, that's what,
But
you
do I
right.
feel masculine?
Yeah,
I got this
yeah.
other voice in my head. You know, but at the
Yeah,
end of the
man.
day,
Yeah.
I will give her credit for that.
Yeah,
No, he's right.
absolutely. You definitely get to
That's
know your
funny.
partner for sure.
That is
like,
funny. That's good.
You see stuff, and then like you said, you're not with the same person. So the person, I met and, began to court and we dated
Yeah.
versus the woman that I married versus the woman I'm with now. Those are completely different people.
Man.
And I thank God for that because really, we all are ever changing, but as you begin to, you have to reacquaint yourself with that person. Like, their core tenets, their beliefs, their principles. Hopefully they align before you get married and you've discussed that. That's a whole nother rabbit hole that we could go down. But as that person changes, things begin to shift. Some things, I'll give an example. Like when we first met, my wife comes from a big family. She's West African. She was very adamant about having a large family. I was pretty set at the beginning. I didn't want any kids. And then it moved from, now I'm very open to the idea of having children because I found the right woman, which is another conversation. And it's went down from, a small village to a reasonable number that I'm okay with.
All right.
Now that I know my partner, you
Yeah,
know what I
yeah,
mean?
yeah.
So it's one of those things where it doesn't necessarily mean that, they become an entirely different person. But there's things that change, Red Bulls, and you have to re-identify like, oh, okay, I thought you were still thinking this. And it's like, well, my opinion has shifted on that. So it's just those things. It's the communication pieces. As long as you're in communication and you keep those lines open and are checking and rechecking and verifying and re-verifying, like it works itself out. But it's fun, man. I don't believe that it has to be hard all the time. There are going to be situations and circumstances that'll make it difficult. But for the most part, you guys should be up in this person's face every day.
Yeah.
Y'all should be able to enjoy each other. And if you're not, try to get to the root of that. So, but if it's something where you don't like that person, I just couldn't imagine it. Really, I really couldn't imagine it. I don't know how people do that. It would just be really tough. So yeah.
Cool. Well, since you guys are in the mood of dropping knowledge, I'm gonna continue soaking it in. That's
Yeah,
all I'm
man.
gonna do. So obviously it's the pilot episode, and it's anchored in Black manhood, right? And before we can move forward, we have to also define that for ourselves. What does that mean? Darrail, go ahead. Let me know, like, what do you think? Like, when you think of yourself as a man, you look yourself in the mirror. Like, what do you measure yourself up to? How do you define that for yourself?
When you sent that to me, I immediately tried to, what do I say to that?
Right.
What is that, right?
Right.
And it came subtle, but it came strong. And how I define that is by knowing you're a man through grooming your inner boy. Knowing you're a man by grooming your inner boy. We all have that little boy in us, period. Doesn't leave. It comes out. Whenever it comes out, it's gonna come out,
that's
right?
good. That's
And
good.
how that came to me was like, okay, knowing that I'm not 12 years old anymore, I'm not 24 anymore, I'm not, you name it, right? I'm not 30 anymore. Even when that was like but at the end of the day,
Right.
when I say that inner boy, and y'all feel free to chime in. When I say that, Josh, I truly mean, there's things where you want to feed that person inside of you that you love, you have certain hobbies, you have certain priorities. And for me, I had to groom that little boy today. I wanted to stay in hoop, man. I just love doing it. But it's like, man, I know my hoop dreams are done. I mean, I know that. I'm not trying to make no semi-pro, none of that. But,
Right.
but for an example, it's just like, I know that little boy in me at Rondo, outside, shooting. I remember doing that. But like now, and I work with 20-year-olds at my job, and they like to test these old knees out, and it's hard for me to just like not jump in there.
Yeah.
But I understand it's bigger than just saying no. It's like you're saying no to that inner boy. Like, you want to do this, I know.
That discipline.
But brother, you got a family waiting for you to walk through the door, right? But for me, that is a form of my peace. Not hooping, but just the action of just doing something that reminds me, that takes me back.
Right.
That takes me back. You name it. Video games, playing ball.
That was gonna be mine,
You name it, man. There's just things in us that men, we have to force ourselves to say, I'm a man now, right? And a lot of that, I mean, we can pick this apart so much, man. But if I had to sum it up in that, in just a statement, it is literally, I know I'm a man by my continued grooming of that inner boy inside of me. I have to be able to say, hey, man, we got to do this. I know I want to do this. I know what I want to do, but where does that leave me? Sincerely. For the moment, it satisfies that craving I wanted. But long term, the craving's going to come back. Long term. So you're never truly satisfying it. Otherwise, when I say this is going back to marriage. When you don't want to have the last resort be love. You don't want to. Well, that's the only thing we have left is love.
Right.
That's not where you want to be at.
Right.
You want to be at a point where all I know
love is not
love.
enough. Yeah.
Right.
Love is not enough.
Not that's all I have left,
Right.
but that's all I know.
Right.
All I know is to love, right?
Right.
And part of that is knowing yourself and also showing that love to your spouse or whoever you're with. Whoever you're with is just that, what long term, what seeds can I be doing now that will really benefit long term versus like, it's never going to go away. I'm always going to have those cravings that inner boy is going to want that.
Right.
But as a man, what am I thinking about that can help me long term, and I can say I'm glad I chose to do this instead, and it really paid off. And part of it was coming to Central and dealing with y'all in your class every day. There was moments where I'm like, what are we doing? Seas of Change? What is it? After school group. We had that big.
Wait, time
I was
out.
a latchkey
We got
kid,
a
too,
lot.
Time out. I got a story.
Yeah.
That describes that very moment.
Yeah,
So like my
yeah.
favorite Darrail moment. So he's a refined man. He's a man of the arts.
Yeah. Yes, I am.
He's
A
a man of the
Renaissance
arts.
man.
Yes,
A gentleman.
sir. Yes, sir.
Yes.
Love theater.
And he was in a play.
Okay.
And we was in school, whatever. We kicking it, whatever. Somebody comes running in, so we had different age groups. Somebody comes in from the older class, they're like, Darrail's in a play, and he's kissing on dudes.
How you know?
And we like, whoa, hold on. We're like, Darrail?
Yeah.
Not my Darrail.
Yeah.
So like, it's the talk of the day. So for the rest of the day, we see Darrail after school. We all get up to him, we like, Darrail, what's this we hear about you kissing dudes? Like, what's going on? Like, what's going on? And he sits us all down. He's like, y'all, I'm an actor. I read the script. I knew what I had to do.
Yeah.
But we did, and I really, like, looking back on it, I really respected that, because I was just like, anybody else would have been like, no, like, it ain't even like that. But he was just like, no, like, this is what I did.
Yeah, that's
And
your
like,
profession.
yeah, but like, we gave him a lot though.
Yeah.
Right? We threw a lot.
high school kids,
man.
high
Yeah,
school
we
kids,
threw a lot at you.
You're not
that
the
day.
only one. Okay.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people I knew in my personal life that gave me a lot for that. And to be transparent, yes, it was the role. Would I do that role again like that? The answer is no.
Yeah.
But in the moment, I'm like, let's own it. For my own personal reasons, we don't got to dive into it, but it was definitely a moment of, I owned it, and it was, for me, it was just, how do I explain this to other young men who look at even just theater as like, who does that? Like, just theater alone, it's like, that's not very common in our community. It's just
For
not.
sure.
It's not.
Yeah.
But I owned it.
did.
I am so proud of, like, and Minnesota is so huge in the arts, and I am like such an advocate, a thespian. I love theater. Did a lot for me. So I do recall this moment.
Yeah.
And it was tough.
Yeah.
It's hard to tell these young brothers, but at the end of the day, 10 toes down, and it was all right. It was all right, and it was still like, hey, you remember it. I would have forgot about that.
Oh no, that
but
always
it feels
sticks with
good.
me. That always sticks with me. That moment sticks with me.
That's great, man. But it's great that wasn't a moment to look at me less than the man. Because we're on that topic, right?
No, for
Yeah.
sure. I bring that up because I remember that day, and I went home and I had that thought. I was just like, because like when you're coming up, you're getting groomed, you're getting told like, a man is this, a man is this. Oh, you don't do this. You not.
Homophobia is real. in my
homophobia
community.
is real.
We're not
Hypermasculinity
saying
is
it,
real.
but that's really what it is.
For
It
sure.
is. It's real.
And like even outside of like your sexuality, like just the way you present yourself, the clothes that you wear,
true.
it's just like
all of that.
And like that was the first time when I was like, well, I don't think Darrail is not a man.
Right.
But he's doing something that I've been told for
Right.
years, like that you don't do as a man. So like that was just one of the things that really like resonated with me. So that's why when I first came up with this whole concept, this whole episode, I was like, oh, I gotta hit up Darrail. I gotta hit Darrail because I was like, I put that in my notes too. I was like, I gotta make sure I bring up that story.
Yeah.
Because that was it was a turning point.
Because King, man, you're impressionable at that age too. So
Yeah.
And like you said, like we have a lot of people have this construct of what they think manhood should be, and you're entitled to your personal belief. But the moment you try to impose that on other people, that's where it becomes problematic. So just because I'm a cisgendered, heterosexual Christian black man doesn't mean that everybody's gonna have the same beliefs that I have, and that's okay. As long as they're respecting my personal space and the space of others and not being a danger to themselves, really, it ain't none of my business.
Yeah.
And that's really what we need to be teaching. I mean, and to segue to answer the original question, when you sent it, I was like, oh God, this is gonna be like what came first, the chicken or the egg? But the way I look at manhood is similar to how I just look at being a good global citizen, which is, man, a man, brings value to any positive situation and takes away the negative value in any negative situation. So you should be an asset in every sense of the word. So whether that's in your community, whether that's in your family, whether that's in your place of worship, whether that's in your corporation that you're a part of, whether it's in your social network, whether it's in your state, whatever, wherever you've been planted, you should be producing fruit. You should be bearing fruit. And I think that that's a good global citizen in general, but it's specific to manhood and specifically for black men in America. I think that's non-negotiable. I really believe that. I don't think we can afford to not be present in our communities, to not be vigilant in our communities, and most importantly, to not be leading our communities. So when I think of manhood, that's what I think of. I think a man adds to every positive situation and makes it even better, and they can mitigate the issues of a negative situation. I think that's what it comes down to. Are you making the people's lives around you better? Are they better for knowing you? Are they better for coming into contact with you? And I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. So when I look, at my life and look at the people I'm around and try to, be self-aware and evaluate, self-reflection and think about, am I pouring into these people or am I taking? Because you should be having symbiotic relationships with people. It shouldn't be one-way street. But I want to make sure I'm pouring more than I'm taking. Or if I'm having to take, that I'm replacing what I took. Yeah. You know what I mean? I think that is so imperative because we have so many people that, are in relationship transactionally, which in an instance is fine. Like if I go to the store and you have services that I need, I should be able to pay for those services. That's a transactional relationship. But you and I shouldn't say that we're friends and the only time you see me is when you got a booth at a club. You know what I mean? Like I'm not... Prime example, man, like they used to get on me because I wouldn't go out. And it got to a point where like people were like, you don't like hanging out with us? I'm like, it's not that. We not celebrating anything. It's a Thursday in St. Cloud. We all still here. None of us is where we want to be at. I'm not going out. I don't like drinking. I really don't like folk like that. God is working on me with that because you can't love God and not love his people.
Right.
But that's my own ministry. Speaking to Justin, just talking to Justin.
Yeah.
But, so it just was like, I can't, you know what I mean? Yeah. And then it's like if you're not with the right energy, like I'm very big on protecting your own space. So like if I know my energy ain't right, I'm not gonna bring that until a celebratory thing. But then it's bachelor parties and people getting married and people progressing new careers and moving and starting new chapters of their life. I'm all for it and I'm there. Yeah. So that's why they always laugh. They literally be like, "Oh, Justin's on this. We really gonna," you know what I mean?
But that's just funny that you bring that up because I'm literally that friend now.
Yeah.
I'm literally that guy now.
Yeah,
Like they literally beg me to go out now.
Yeah, I
Like,
don't.
I
I
can't
just
do it no
think
more.
I want to be able to add to it because I don't ever want somebody to feel like they're being used or feel like they're in a transactional relationship with me
Yeah.
and on being taken from. So I feel like to go back, like I said, to circle it and bring it back home. That's what I think a man does. I think manhood is adding to every situation that you're in. That you're the people around you when they come in contact with you, to leave better than they came. Each situation that you leave it better than it was when you got there. And if it's bad, to make it less bad, if that's what it is. So that's how I look at it. That's again an oversimplification. And that takes like we were talking about discipline and walking and whatever you're speaking into existence and being consistent with your actions and having principles that you're willing to stand on. But ultimately, I think that's what it is. I don't think I don't think you reach manhood at a certain age. I don't think you reach manhood at a certain tax bracket. I don't think you reach manhood at a certain body count. I don't think you reach manhood, at a certain follower count. I think you reach manhood when you look at your life and you look at the communities that you're a part of, and you can see where you've left your imprint, where people can look back and see where you came into contact with them, something in them changed, and preferably for the better.
You skimmed over something though.
Yeah.
You just said not after a certain body count.
I did.
Don't.
I did.
That's huge,
big,
brother.
It's a big one.
I did.
Okay,
It's a big one.
I heard that.
Yeah.
It's a big one.
That's.
Yeah.
I'm saying that because I thought at certain point
As did I.
with
Yeah.
the circle you're around
Yeah.
as a man,
Yeah.
I thought, of course, it's part of my rap sheet. I
Yeah.
have to, right? Like
Yeah.
I thought that was part of being a man.
Yeah.
How many girls you got? Like, but not only me, our circle. My
Right.
circle thought that too. So
Right.
I'm listening to what you said,
Yeah.
and that's so true. That's so
Yeah.
true. But you also got to realize you're around so other like-minded people when you're thinking like that.
Yeah.
We're all hurting in something. We all. It seems like we both don't have that father in our home because we're thinking this is what men are supposed to do, and I know for a fact that any man with relationship with his sons would not encourage that. Like
Right.
that's not what it means to be a man. But
Right.
for a long time, I
Yeah.
thought so. And I remember admitting that to my wife. Like I thought I was doing what I was supposed to be doing.
Yeah.
I know it's wrong now.
Right.
The Lord worked on me, but at that time I thought, you know what I mean?
You just handling business.
And when
Yeah.
you look at young brothers, when you look at young men, they want to know too.
Yeah.
They looking, they're like, hey, who
Yeah.
they just, it's just natural. I'm not going into any conversations that I've had with these young men, but I'm trying to say that I know that
Yeah.
that's part of the psyche of a
Yeah,
man
it
to
can
feel
be.
like that has to be a thing. And that couldn't be so further from the truth. So I was listening.
It's
when
toxic
you said that.
masculinity, man.
When you
That's
said
literally what it
that's,
is.
That's,
Like,
that's not the
and that's
definition.
another thing. Not since we went that direction.
Yeah.
Manhood is making sure that the women in your sphere of influence feel heard, feel seen, and feel protected, and that you're actively correcting men that don't exhibit that behavior.
For sure.
That's another part of manhood that doesn't that gets kind of glossed over. So, I would agree with that 100%. I was fortunate. Yes, that pervasive culture is prominent in our culture, but I was fortunate, man. Once, I got to St. Cloud. Acquaintances with a lot of people, but my actual friends, some stand-up dudes, and happen to be Sigmas, which is kind of ironic. But it's funny because a lot of my friends are Sigmas. I might be the only one that's not.
We're not promoting.
I might be the
on
only
here.
one that's not, and they get on me about that constantly.
You said it, not me.
Come on,
so.
man.
But it's just it's some, you know what I mean? Like you said, it's about the people who you're around, and eventually it comes down to, my dad and both of my parents really will tell you, like, when the people you're around, you can tell a lot about a person by the people they associate with.
For sure.
So, as a man, if you're with somebody, for me, I speak for myself, like, if I'm trying to be in a committed relationship with my girlfriend at this time, not my wife, and I'm with men that don't respect women and pretend to be in committed relationships, eventually she's gonna look at me like, okay,
Yeah.
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
So what's
They
up?
all on dirt,
So
and
what's
you
up?
just
Yeah,
not.
yeah.
Like,
So you just the saint.
yeah,
You're the
you know
Lone
what I
Ranger,
mean?
huh?
So, it's one of those things
Yeah.
where it's like,
Yeah.
that's why I said manhood. Part of that is you have to be willing to confront, and not in the way that connotation that it has now. But, trying to hold other men accountable. I think that's part of it too. And that's something that I've definitely grown in because I don't necessarily like to talk to people about that type of stuff.
For sure.
Yeah.
Because some of it is that it's that thin line between it's none of your business. It's like, okay,
Right.
community, like we need to step. You know what I mean? So that's another thing that you have to navigate. And I really was gonna get to was, it's subjective to people. It really is because your definition might be different from somebody else's. But I feel like as a man, you should be bringing something to every, every situation that you're in.
And then you get daughters. Yeah, that
Yeah.
changes. Yeah. Your psyche changes, and a lot of it is.
So talk about that.
Who are you gonna find? I hope you.
Yeah.
Do you tell them to find? So I've asked some men this at my job that I work with. I'm like, you had a daughter.
Right.
Would you tell her to find someone like you?
Oh, that's good.
And they had to stop.
That's good.
And they said no. I said, well, that's wrong,
Yeah.
right? If you don't want your daughter to find someone like you, what are you really saying?
Yeah.
What does that mean? If your own daughter, if you're like, don't find, that's different.
Yeah.
And I would say, biasly speaking, yeah, because I would want you to find someone like me, as long as it turns out in the likeness of my story where he didn't stay that way, right? He didn't stay in that mess. But it truly does mean, it does bring a point to ponder when you have girls, literally girls, right? Yo, you want so much for them. You want that young man that you want that to just be like, he better fill all the stat sheets, okay?
Yeah,
You better
check all the
certain
boxes.
coaches, you gotta pay for the daughter.
Yeah.
Certain coaches, you gotta pay a certain price.
Yeah.
You want that field. And that it changes
absolutely.
the narrative.
You want the world for them.
It changes the narrative. So absolutely.
Yeah, I would agree with that 100%. It's very. I don't know. We haven't had kids yet, but that is something I think about. Like
It changes. It changes.
because they're seeing. So I guess my question to you would be, when you're having interactions with your wife, how cognizant are you of them watching you and that interaction?
Oh man, my daughter.
Particularly when you know you're right.
My daughter. My daughter slapped my wife on the butt. So that was like oh, you really watch. You really be watching, huh? Like, no, honey. But at least she's like, hey, man, I'm telling you, like, I have such joy in showing love, in front, because like they need to see that. They need to see it.
Sure.
Like, no, you don't need to see us in one room. No, you need to see your parents together. You need to see that. And not only does my household need to see it, my young brothers need to see it.
Yeah, absolutely.
My young brothers need to see that. They need to see strong, if I may be blunt, black relationship. Because it's broken. I'm not saying it needs to be, but it's broken. When they see that, it's like, oh, that happens? That happens? And the hardest ones, the ones that give us the most problems, are ones that look like us. So if I know that my own young men and young sisters are going to be hardest on me, it's because they're not used to seeing our positive light.
Yeah.
And that, for me, works in the home and outside the home. Much like that fruit you were saying. Yeah, it plays a role. It plays a huge role.
Because it might not be on your tree. It might not end up, growing right underneath where you sprouted from. It might, branch out.
So, as we wrap up, we alluded to certain insecurities that we might have collectively as black men. I wanted to know if you guys ever experienced like any insecurities, like elaborate on that, and like what would be your advice to young black boys, young black men that are trying to work through insecurities that they know that they have, or know that they might not even know that they have as men?
I won't be long. I would encourage every young man to not look through the lens of another man's eyes, because you're never going to add up to what they want you to look like. So why do it? You are your lens. Where have you seen you come from? What do you love about yourself? What do you see for yourself? And that's what I love about you, Josh, and that's why I'm in it with you, is that no matter what, no matter how chaotic certain classes was that I had to work with you in, you always brought your homework, regardless. And you didn't care, because you knew you had to go home to a household that held you to that standard. So you weren't looking through the eyes of your boy's lens. You knew that, hey, I got frames of my own that I got to look through, and one day it's just going to be just me in that mirror. So I would encourage every young man to look through your lens, not the lens of another man, and that will hopefully just solidify or get rid of any insecurities that may come along the way.
Yeah, I mean, I would just say be your own biggest fan, man. As long as if you know, it looks good to you and you feel safe in it, and you feel, you know, this is how you want to operate, and you're not doing others harm or yourself harm, walk in and see where it leads, because you never know. Don't kill a dream before it gets a chance to grow, because you never know where it will lead you to. And you don't know if that's a gift. That gift might not even be for you. More often than not, it might be for somebody else. And just be cognizant of that and allow that to run its course and see where it leads. Yeah.
You speak about gifts, and you alluded to it. I feel like when we had this conversation, like I was just thinking about it the whole time, like even as a young boy, like I was really big. I leaned in on being an individual and like defining my place in the world for myself. So like you said, like even with like little things like making sure like I do my homework and being the best whatever I wanted to be at the time, whether it would be an athlete or writer or whatever. Just doing that, I think that was big for me as a youngin.
Yeah.
And now I look around and I'm happy I had that, because it's tough. Everybody comes to their own in different times and different stages of their life, and I'm just happy that I had a good support group.
Yeah.
I had a father, some good pastors in my life, good mentors, and it came full circle.
Look at you, man.
Yeah.
This
Look
is
at
your
him,
shit.
face
We
up
on your
there,
show,
man.
right?
Yeah.
We
Face
here
up,
for
we
you.
got the nice leather
Yeah,
chairs.
don't
Look
it feel
at him,
good?
man. Moisturized. He got his ankles out.
You moisturize the seat.
They're a little dry on the back. You see, I had to.
Moisturize the seat.
I turned my foot a little bit. I checked and I was like, oh, hold on.
Awesome. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
But I
Yeah.
appreciate y'all for coming out. Like, I definitely didn't have to. Like you said, you're
no
a family
problem,
man.
Hey, man. Yeah.
No, I
You
definitely
married
would.
too as well. I was
Man,
just
Yeah.
like, man.
there's billions of people in the world, and you thought of us, man. So I'm
Yeah.
honored. As soon as you said
Yeah.
whatever you need, I'm there. I don't take that lightly, because our paths, there's so many different variations and ways that we can go.
Yeah.
So anytime you're brought in contact with somebody, it's not by mistake. I don't think it's an accident at all. So you call, man, we here.
And you've been on
And we
networks,
rock with you, man.
brother.
Yeah.
You've been on networks,
Yeah,
man.
you pick up that phone
I
call.
don't know what that means for I'm not going to say the networks, but you've been around.
You can say the
here.
networks. I mean, it is what it is.
I mean,
You know
but
what I mean?
we strictly
The three-letter
SKN
ones, too,
right here,
yeah.
okay? But I'm saying you've been around, brother.
Yeah.
And it's so surreal to even like, that's Josh. Check you out, man.
Yeah,
It's just
man.
it's beautiful. It's
Yeah.
beautiful.
You know, and you even sent me a picture of my
I
forehead.
did. I snapshot the screen.
Because sometimes they do like little
Yeah.
like little newsroom shots.
Yeah.
And I'm in
Yeah.
the back working. I check my phone. Darrail sent me a picture of my forehead.
I'm like, who that?
Seeing the hair,
Yeah.
that's gonna be the logo for the podcast. The hairstyle.
He was
That'd
like,
be
yeah,
lit.
Who was that? But it was so proud. Just
Yeah.
bro, out so proud.
No,
man.
100%,
man. You can't make this up. And I always say, when I say brother, I'm talking about the class from the 4-year span of the Central kid. You graduated 2011?
15.
15.
Ooh, you give
Sorry,
me a lot of credit.
I'm
I
sorry.
started to
No.
Started then.
Y'all, right.
started then.
I started in 2010, so I'm sorry. You graduated 2015.
Yeah.
The other class was 2014.
Mm-hmm.
But 2014, 2015, 2016, those graduating classes had AVID in there specifically for African American males.
Yeah.
And I was an AVID tutor / mentor of that program. So just to see
dope.
that growth, man, I'm telling you, it moved me. So when you text me, I'm like, absolutely. Josh, there's no question, man.
I respond immediately. I'm like,
yeah.
where?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I love that y'all both met me at Shorty's
Yeah.
too. Like literally
Yeah.
from 14, 18, and then
Yeah.
met
Yeah.
Justin right after that.
Nah,
Hey.
he was big man on campus.
Yeah.
I'm like, who is this dude everybody
Yeah.
keep talking to? I met him, humble dude. I'm like, all right, I see it.
Always
I see it.
cheesing, man.
Yeah, I see it.
Yeah, Josh. Be proud of yourself, man.
Yeah, for sure, man.
Be
He
proud
just
of
be
yourself.
casually updating the Facebook. I'm like, oh, he really out here doing
Yeah,
it.
yeah. I don't know if they stopped taping or not, but I'm like, because I know my man was doing it. But I want to,
Yeah.
do you, if I may ask you,
Yeah.
what is your view on manhood right now?
So right now, I go through these like little phases of trying to define things in my life.
Yeah.
So manhood was one of them that I went through. And basically what I came down to is a man, to me, what I measure myself to is somebody that is always striving relentlessly to be the most complete self. And I feel like
Most complete stuff.
once you're that, then everything else, all the qualities that you bring up, that'll just spill over. Like if you feel like a man is disciplined, you're gonna be the most disciplined you can be. You're a father, you're gonna be the best father that you can be. You're gonna be the best worker. You're gonna be a breadwinner.
Yeah.
You're gonna be whatever it is, whatever you want to do in your life, you're gonna be the best at that thing. So and I basically, so you know how like sometimes people bring up like, oh, in order for you to be a man, you have to be a provider. You have to make this amount of money. You have to, like you said, sleep with this many amount of girls or whatever.
Right.
And that's something that I hold myself to. And that's how I measure myself up to the man I want to become. So that's why when I talked to you earlier off camera about how I felt like, oh no, we talked about it on camera, but my routine, like sometimes I feel like if I'm not living up to my routine, I feel like kind of less than a little bit. And also just, giving myself that grace, but that all goes into my psyche with that. So
I understand that. That makes a lot more sense.
Yeah.
You're definitely more concrete sequential than I thought, but that makes sense. Like you have to, it's one of those things where, you have to, I don't even know what the right word is. It's almost kind of like, actually, I got it now. It's just like in the Bible, man. And all you're getting an understanding. And we all go through that thing of self-discovery, where you're trying to figure out, defining who you are, your thesis, who you are as a person, what makes you you, and then figure out, do I like what I am? And always reflecting on, am I where I like myself and who I am in this world and, in your home. I mean, so that's really what it is. I definitely agree with that. You should be striving to be your best version of yourself, because your best version is always going to give you the best chance to be the most successful, and your success isn't just for you. That's the biggest thing I've learned. Is like, my success isn't just for me. It's for the other people, my sphere of influence. So I'm glad that you're recognizing that now, because that's something that, 24, 23, 22, it wasn't clicking for me. So, yeah.
well, that's a word. I guess that's a good way to end it off. So again, this is the Ironic Podcast with Josh Cobb. Thank you, Darrail. Thank you, Justin, for coming out again, rocking it out with us. But yeah, like, comment, subscribe, and stay tuned. We'll have more for you guys. Thank you.